Hello everyone, my name is SiC and welcome to Knights and Merchants. Since I was doing more building games recently, I figured I'd jump back into an old game that I played a lot when I was younger. This is probably one of the first real-time strategy games that I played, along with Age of Empires and Populous the Beginning, actually. All great games. But this one is really interesting in that it has a pretty deep economy and some interesting combat as well. I think I will be only playing the first mission, however, and that will probably be a two-part video, because this stuff can take pretty long. Anyway, let's have a look. We have several campaigns. Two of them are from the main game, which is the Shattered Kingdom. There was an expansion for this game called the Peasants' Rebellion, and I am currently running a mod that allows me to play in 1920 by 1080p called the Knights and Merchants Remake mod. And that adds another 3 campaigns, each with like 10 maps, 12 maps and 11 maps, so that is really damn cool. However, for this video I will be starting the original Knights and Merchants campaign, and we will have a first mission.
Have succeeded in breaching our defenses. The fortress has fallen, and shouldst thou not drive out the scoundrels, the kingdom shall be lost, and the throne robber shall triumph. To thy weapons!
To thy weapons, indeed. Alright, so this mission is going to start off with a combat scenario, but after the initial combat, we'll go to the basic economy building. So, let's begin. Alright, so we're under attack, the enemy is already at the gates, and we have to send our guys forward right off the bat. Let's see, one of the things I want to save is this tower, because we don't actually have the ability to build these for ourselves quite yet. I want them to get closer a little bit quicker, so I'm going to use a storm attack to run them forward. And then we're going to move them over towards the tower. Hopefully we'll get there in time, but we'll see. Right, one thing about the combat is once these guys are locked in combat, there's no getting out of it. Right, so they basically have to fight until the death. Which basically makes it really important who you send where, and who do you have attack what, etc, etc. Now it looks like our axe fighters might survive, even though it will be just a few. Let's send you back into the fight, yeah. Now the zooming in and out part is something that is new to the Knights and Merchants Remake mod as well, and it was not in the original. Alright, getting very close. Let's send you guys in here as well. We have one enemy axe fighter remaining? Yeah. Alright. So the day is ours for now, but of course this is not the end of the scenario. We have to start building this stuff up. Now we have a woodcutter's hut over here. It is on fire. Almost all buildings are, and we can repair those by making sure that repairing is actually allowed. So we will do that for all buildings, as well as the towers, which we did manage to save. That is really good news, because, well, it's a bit of defense that we could definitely use. However, this little icon is grayed out, and that means there is nobody in here. So we need to train a woodcutter, and for that we go to the school building, and we will use one bit of gold, or one chest of gold, to train a woodcutter. We are also going to need a carpenter, so let's line one of those up. And that is really almost all that there is for us to do right now. Now we could actually use 2 recruits in the towers as well. So, we get a message. Thou must needs speedily equip new militia units. Shouldst thou fail to do this, we shall be defenseless against enemy attacks. Right. I'm going to switch over to the recruits. Gonna get 2 of those, and hopefully they're going to go straight towards the towers. Now, we have a weapons workshop, which we do have a carpenter now, but we also need to make planks. The logs made by the woodcutters are not going to be enough. So to do that, we're going to need to build a sawmill, which we will do right there. Now, building is interesting. We have several buildings. Currently they're occupied with repairing buildings, but once that is all done, one of those guys will walk over here. He will start digging up the terrain, make sure it's all level and even. And then we need several materials. So to build the sawmill, we need 4 planks, and we need 3 stones. And those are the basic building materials required for all constructions, pretty much. So by having woodcutters and a sawmill, we have ensured that we will get the planks. Later on we will also need a quarry, so that we can get some stone from this deposit over here. And actually, we could probably do with another builder, or a laborer is actually what they're called. Right now, let's see, we have a statistic. We have 3 laborers, and we have 10 serfs. And serfs, you can see them standing around here. They are responsible for transporting all the goods in the Empire. So they're basically like the lifeblood. As you can see, you know, we use some gold. A serf is now coming over to bring a new chest of gold to the schoolhouse. He will also supply the weapons workshop with planks and other things he might need. Actually, all he needs is planks. He will take the logs from the woodcutters to the sawmill. He will also take the building materials to the construction site.
Yes? March! Group up! Your Majesty.
Alright, let's see, what do we have left? We have an ability to link up some troops. We will link up these basic militiamen with the axe fighters,
Your Majesty.
because it was such a small group.
March.
This one is rather sizable, as you can see right here.
Ready?
This one is pretty small. We might link those two together as well. Now we have a nice little selection. Like 4 rows of 5 each, so that's 20 guys right here.
I'm listening.
These guys can be a
Let's
backup.
go.
It's not a whole lot of troops right now, but it will have to do. But yeah, we can change their line formation as well. So if we select the bigger one, we could say add a line. And that means we added the line to the right here. So now they will be 6 deep and still 4 wide. We could do it again. Now they will be 7 deep and 7 wide, 3 deep.
Group up, group up.
But this is a nice little formation for now. Alright, so we have a sawmill under construction, or actually it's just being dug up. We could also line up the quarry, which we will build, so let's see, right here. And we will also need to connect this stuff up by roads. So, these these 5 tiles are going to be roads. We're also going to need stone for that. So let's see, we have 390 stones, we have only 46 timber, or planks, I suppose. So yeah, you can run out of this stuff, and after you've run out, you know, if you have no way of getting more, you're kind of screwed. You know, you cannot just select anyone to go ahead and chop down a tree. It has to be done in these buildings. Now, one thing I've always really liked about this game is that construction is very well animated, or it's animated very well. It's very interesting to see, because you will start to see beam by beam and basically brick by brick, or whatever the building consists of. And that's the way it's built up. It doesn't just rise out of the ground, it doesn't pop into existence. You can actually kind of see it being constructed in real time. You know, with some limitations, of course, but it looks very cool. As you can see, we have several guys bringing over some planks, so we can start construction on the sawmill. We will have 3 out of 4. There's the other one. We have some stone. 3 stones on its way as well. Excellent. Then, of course, we're going to need another carpenter. So let's get one of those. Now, another thing you might have noticed is the inn right here. And it is filled with bread and wine. We could also have sausages, but not in this mission, and the expansion also added fish, but that is also not currently available to us. So all of these guys need to eat, right? And the serfs and the laborers and all the workers, you know, like the woodcutter, they will all go to the inn to eat. However, our military units, of course, have a job. You know, they have to guard this bridge. So they cannot just leave this position if they feel like they need to eat.
Yes?
We actually have to have a supply troop with food button. And that will basically draw all of the serfs with food towards our military units and supply them with, you know, supplies. And yeah, that's very interesting. That means you have to stockpile some food. And that means currently we have no means of making food. Our next construction job is going to be the construction of a farm. Very important indeed. Alright, let's make sure that the sawmill will be able to be repaired as well. And then we're going to need a stonemason. Let's see, the stonemason is right there. I know to find most of these guys pretty easily, because I've played this game for so much. And actually I've played this mission a whole lot as well in the past. Now, we have the barracks over here, and we can train several troops. As you can see, we need supplies of all kinds. And for example, if we want to build an axe fighter, we need a recruit, we need a hand axe, we need a leather armor, and we need wooden shields. Now, leather armor in this first mission are in very short supply, because you need to make pig farms. And actually, we don't have any pig farms at the moment, and we will not be able to make any. However, we can now get construction on the farm started. So we have a bit of road here. It looks like this part used to be a farm already. Now, in order to work, it's going to need arid. No, not arid. It's going to need a plow field. You know, farmable fields. Is what I'm getting at. So we're going to designate some of those areas as well. Might as well fill this bit up. Now, I think the ideal amount of fields for him to work is 16 tiles. We have a little bit more than that right now, I think. We have 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 17. Ah, yeah, so we have one more. That's fine. Now, one interesting thing is that this field has to be sown as well. So once we have a farmer and this building is finished, he will actually move over and he will go into the field and put seeds into the ground. And then very slowly, but very surely, those seeds will start to mature into, you know, things that we can use to make bread and flour. Or flour and bread, in that order, actually. So, we're also going to need to construct a mill. And we're going to have to construct a bakery. But since it's going to take so long for this stuff to grow, the first thing I'm going to build after this farm is going to be a vineyard. And I think we're going to build one right here. Or, actually, we could maybe... Let's see, another weapons workshop could be nice. A second one, maybe? Closer to the barracks, you know? But, no, I think this will do fine, so we can have a little vineyard over here. Right, construction materials are already on their way, so we will just pop down this field. Get a little bit of road started. And I suppose, you know, this is so close to being done, we might as well make the farmer already as well. But yeah, the economy part of this game is really the most interesting part. You know, combat is kind of tricky, but it's a basic rock, paper, scissors kind of thing. Where spearmen, they beat horsemen, you know, swordsmen they're basically a pretty solid front line. You can see their strength. This is their attack, this is their defense. So an axe fighter has 2 attack, 1 defense, so he's slightly stronger than the regular militia, but they do the same amount of damage. A sword fighter, however, is better armored, but also better armed. Then we have the bowman, a crossbowman, a lance carrier, which is basically a spearman, a pikeman, we have a scout, and we have a knight. So basically we have, you know, axemen and a swordsman. They're basically 3 types of regular infantry. Then we have 2 types of long-range units, we have 2 types of anti-cavalry, and we have 2 types of cavalry. One is more expensive than the other, but also clearly better, but harder to make. Right, so we have all the construction materials required at the first farm. We almost have all the stuff we need at the second farm, or the vineyard, so I will make the second farmer as well. Now, another thing we're going to need here is wine fields, or an actual vineyard. This stuff is expensive to make, so I don't want to make too much. Let's see, that's 15. Let's see how this does. 15 will be fine for now, because every tile is going to need a plank. Now, we only have 42 planks, so that's already 15 planks spent on construction of this, plus the 4 for the house. So yeah, that's 19 planks out of the 42 that we currently have. That's quite a bit. Alright, this farm is ready. Farmer is returning home. And now he's going to go out into the field and sow his seeds. Always very lovely to see. This game gets very active. I kind of forgot about this spot, apparently. It's interesting. I was wondering what... Yeah, this is a destroyed building. I think that's going to stay around. As you can see, this is how it starts. And slowly, slowly but surely, this is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But it's going to be probably like 15 minutes, if not more. It's going to be a while. We do have 45 pieces of bread and 65 wine barrels. However, we also have 20 bits of corn that we could turn into flour. So once this is done, we should make sure that we have a mill. And I think the mill will be very nice up here. I think this is actually the place of an old mill, judging by the size of the ruin. So we're going to put down that stuff as well. Now, pretty soon, our army units are going to get hungry, I think.
At your command.
Yeah, so this is their hunger bar. And once it reaches just a little bit more over towards this area, they're going to get hungry.
Ready?
We will be notified about this as well.
At your command.
I think what we're going to do right now is we're going to move them back here, so that they're a little bit closer to the storehouse, so they can get fed quicker, because feeding these guys is a huge drain on the economy, because most of the serfs will all start moving in their direction to bring them bread and wine. Right, so that's a lot of time spent away from being the lifeblood of my economy. Like right now I have more than enough of these guys, so that they can just kind of stand around idle for a job to open up. But yeah, regularly speaking, at some point the economy is going to be big enough that we're going to have to train more of these guys, and we will have a huge, or we can have a huge area full of stuff. And we have many things to build as well. Most of these are going to be unavailable for the first mission, but we're going to be building mines for gold and silver or iron. We're going to have mines for coal. We're going to have a smelter, of course, for all of this stuff. We're going to have a money maker. We're going to have a stable for horses, of course. We're going to have a pig farm. We're going to have a tanner, a butcher, some place that they actually use the hides that we get from the pigs, a tannery, and you know, something like the weapons workshop, but one that works on shields and armor, basically. That's quite a bit, and it's all pretty cool. Most of all, this is a very relaxing game, I think. You know, see this slowly expand into a big medieval town, essentially. Wow, I'm looking for words, man. Yeah, so with the mill, needs to come a baker. It's almost finished, so we're going to make sure that the baker is ready as soon as the mill is as well. As you can see, you know, it's beam by beam. Once all the beams are in place, you can actually see this little plank disappear as well, once every beam is in place, or close to it. Yeah, look at that. So much detail, you know. And that's the really cool thing about the old 2D graphics. It's easier to get that kind of detail in a game like this. 3D engines, you know, they're usually less good for this, I think. Or at least I haven't really seen a 3D strategy or building game that has this kind of construction shown to you, and I think this is really cool. Alright, so now that the mill is in place, we of course are going to need a bakery. I'm not going to put it close to the trees, I'm not going to put it up here, so I suppose the best place, looks like this area is unavailable for building. We're going to have to build it right here. Now, of course, the sandy area, or the sandy areas, are going to be not, or unfit for construction. Alright, we have 36 planks. Once this is done, we will have our basic food system in place. We could expand upon this later, and we might have to. But I think the next thing that we're going to need is we're going to need a second woodcutter and a second sawmill, so we have a healthy supply of planks for the weapons workshop to work with, because we're going to need hand axes. I would also like to make some longbows, because we don't have any archers, and they would be ideal for this, because we only have a few guys defending the bridge. Ah, that's the message, showing us that our troops are hungry.
Yes? chow, men.
Time for chow, men. Chow time. It's always really it's not interesting, but it's pretty funny listening to these guys. You know, you can click on the serfs as well.
Yes?
Yes. They all have the same voice.
Yes? I'm listening.
The farmer has a different voice though.
Yes, yes, yes.
All the laborers have the same voice. Unfortunately, you cannot select these guys while they're inside buildings, but you can click on them while they're working. So I think what we're going to want... Oh, we have 9 longbows in here already. I think, yeah, we're going to need 1 more. So let's make sure that this guy gets started. And I think what we're going to want is 20 archers or something like that. I think that's going to be fine. So we're going to get another 10 longbows. And hopefully that's not going to... No, that's not going to completely eat up our timber. That's going to be fine. Alright, so... Let's see, another woodcutter. Close to this area. Let's get the road in place, and then we could also get the sawmill right next to it. And what about another weapons workshop? Would that fit? No, that's not going to fit. So maybe, let us see. A sawmill, right? Right. It cannot be completely adjacent to it, so there's going to be a bit of dead space here. That's fine. We're going to put it 2 tiles in the middle. Now we have another space for a road and a little bit of empty space. I think that's going to be interesting. Alright, second guys are getting hungry.
Chow time.
Let's feed all of those guys as well. 20 of them, so this is going to keep the serfs busy for a little while. As you can see, once something is finished building, it will actually appear in the building as well. So we have 1 longbow in store right now. And if he builds a second longbow, it will also be visible here. Same thing is true for logs and planks, and for bits of corn, for bread, etc, etc. Now, I'm not entirely sure why these guys didn't just finish building the bakery first, and why they instead decided to go here. Maybe I missed it, maybe they didn't bring all of the construction materials right away, and that's why they moved on. That could be a possibility.
Yes?
There goes another bow. And I think at this point we might as well make some recruits. So let's get 5 for now. Another 5 later. And all of the recruits are going to be in the barracks, but if they're not armed, they're basically going to be useless mouths. You know, they're just going to sit there and they're not going to help with the defense of the base. So you better make sure that you have something to arm them with before you send all those recruits into the barracks. Right now, of course, I am sure that I can make some bowmen, because we have plenty of stuff in stock. Now, what are all of our guys doing? So they're going to finish the road first. Interesting. That wouldn't have been my choice, but maybe I shouldn't have lined this up right away. Now we are going to need another baker for the bakery, of course. Now let's have a look at all the other jobs, shall we? So we have the serf, we have the laborer, we have the stonemason, the woodcutter, the carpenter. All of these we are familiar with already. The fisherman, which is a expansion building, and it's not currently available to us. It might be later on in this campaign, not entirely certain. We have the farmer, of course, and the baker. We have an animal breeder. We have a butcher, a miner, a metallurgist, a blacksmith, and we have a recruit. That's quite a lot of guys, and they work in different buildings as well. So I think the blacksmith works in 2 different types of buildings. The metallurgist does as well. The miner works in all the different mines, of course. The butcher does only work in the butchery, but the animal breeder, he will be working in the pig farm as well as the stables. Oh, and look at this. Our first batch of wine is being made. The grapes are full grown. He just picked this bit. You can see there's nothing on the vine here. These ones are still growing. These ones are ripe as well. I think this will be fine for him. Like, he will have all the fines he needs. And if not, we could also make 2 more up here. Because we're not going to be able to build a building here anyway. So actually, we might as well fill that up. Yeah.
Yes?
Yes. That's our baker right there. Now we also have some flour in stock. It's not being picked up yet because, well, the people were busy bringing food to our militia units.
Oh,
Let's make sure everybody's back in formation.
I'm listening.
You guys are going to be back up right here. And as you can see, the guys in our towers also need to eat. So this guy just went to the inn. Now he's coming back home. One of our serfs is eating some bread. He's having some wine as well. Now this is very interesting, because if you also had sausages, he would probably also eat a sausage. Which means that every one of these guys will probably at one time consume 3 bits of food. Whereas the military units, they only get 1 item. So they might get 1 barrel of wine, they might only get 1 piece of bread. And that's going to be just fine for that one particular trooper. Which is, well, a little bit strange. You know, the serfs, they eat so much more than the military dudes. 3 times as much if they get the chance. Now, as you can see, we still haven't any corn that is ready yet. Almost. We're getting very close. Like this bit right here, and all of these bits right here, they're going to be very close. This thing is finished now, so off he... or not off he goes. Well, off he goes, yeah. But I was going to say along he comes with the scythe. So, first bit of corn. Our stock of 8 out of the 20 that we started with. So that was going down, but this is going to be stable now, I think. Now, he is also going to have to reseed this little patch. He can also get some more corn over here, so... looks like he's going to go back and reseed this towel. Yep. Now, at this point, I feel like we could probably do with another 2 serfs. We had 10, let's go for 12. Because I see some things piling up here. Some of these guys are eating, but I haven't seen one of them standing still for a little while now, so... that means there's always a job to be done. And like these guys are waiting, they need some stones. This corn is just lying around. We have some flour over here that's not going anywhere. Yeah. We need some more serfs. Now, another thing that we could do is we could scout out this little island that we're on, though I already know that this bridge is the only thing that we can... the only thing we have to worry about. Of course, we can also scout out the enemy positions, because the enemy is going to have a similar town further on in the map. Now, interesting thing is that the fog of war doesn't stay around. So once it's discovered, it's going to stay discovered for a while. Or, no, forever. Not for a while. It's going to stay discovered forever.
Let's go.
Now, one thing we should be wary of is getting too close to the enemy troops, because that will trigger them. And we are not ready for that, because they will send out their entire army to attack us, and that would be very bad. So we have some spearmen over here, and let's see. Oh, another spearman over there. Maybe a second unit, not entirely certain. It's very nice to have this zoom out function, but it's, like I said, it's only available in the mod version. Of course, to run the mod, you're going to need the full game.
Yes, on the way, on the way. Let's go.
Let's send these guys over to this area. Getting very close now. We have a builders eating food in the inn. Then the other guy's working here, one guy's working on that, and then we have one guy working here. We're going to need another carpenter. And of course we're going to need another woodcutter as well. Now, supplies are not actually being brought over here until the road is finished. Very important. So now that the road is finished, they should actually come over and bring those supplies for the new building. Let's send you guys over here. Yeah, it looks like we will have a very steady supply of wine barrels from here on out. You don't have to do anything for the grapes, they will just basically grow on their own, no problem. And I think actually we could do with another 2 serfs, maybe even 3. It's okay if one of them is just standing around being a useless mouth for a little while. you know, what is really important here is that our economy flows nicely. Alright, and then of course we could go for a second weapons workshop. We might as well. Build one of those over here. Now we could go for another farm over here, some more fields. Because that's the really cool thing about this game that I found is you're never really done building, there's always something more you could be doing. And this first map is pretty easy, pretty straightforward, but later on there's always somewhere you could expand to, there's always something more you could build. Alright, so our woodcutter is ready. Now, an important thing to note about the woodcutter as well is that it has two options. We have a plant and fell, or a fell only. So if you want to get rid of this entire forest, you can. You just press fell only, and then he will only cut down trees. But if you plant and fell, then of course he's going to go out and basically replant some trees, so that there is a constant supply. Now, we're going to want the constant supply here, most definitely. Let's see, all of this stuff should be available for repair. The mill as well. I highly doubt that the enemy is going to be able to come over here, but you know, doesn't hurt to be prepared. Now, it's actually quite important to scout early because it's easier to see an attack coming in advance. Let's have you guys guard the bridge.
Yes, naturally.
Now, another thing to note is that these towers do not fire indefinitely. They actually require ammo, which is stones. And as you can see, he has 5 in his inventory right now, same as this tower. So he can basically throw 5 stones and then he's out. You know, then he's not available for defense anymore until he gets resupplied with more stones. Alright, I'm not really liking this song. And now we have another cool ability here as well. There's a music player. And we can just switch over to the next song. And actually, I think this is in order. No, it's randomly as well, but it's a setting as well. So you can shuffle tracks, so you can just have them be in order. For now, Journey is going to be fine. Nice and peaceful. And actually, I can see we're very close to half an hour. So I'm going to be putting a cut into this video pretty soon. Like 2 minutes. Probably after this building is finished. Because then I will line up a bunch of stuff. Actually, this reminds me, we should get more recruits. 5 more, then we can have 10 archers.
Yes, on the way. Ready? Naturally. Move.
Right.
March.
Right, so we know that this is a dead end.
Let's go.
Up we go. And looks like we have plenty of flour and corn still available. We could probably build another mill, another bakery, once we get another farm. And actually we could line that up as well. Let's see. So a farm. Let's build a road here as well. We will have a field. It's going to be a little bit weird. What's this message? Order has been accomplished. Okay. Yep, that's good. That's nice to know. Of course, we're going to need another carpenter. I'm not sure if we actually assigned it. I don't think so. So let's get another carpenter trained up. Yeah, that's going to be it for this video. So please leave a like and a comment below if you enjoyed this content and wish to see more. Though, like I said, this is probably only going to be a 2-part series. Just, you know, this first part and then the second part. Later on, once we have a bigger army, we're going to go fight the enemy and destroy their base. But for now, this was... Oh, crap! We need to fall back. We don't want to engage. Look at this. Blue guys and yellow guys. You guys need to go back to the bridge. Job well done.
Let's go.
Alright. See you guys for the next video.